Welcome to The Explainer. During all that economic uncertainty from the pandemic, some investors started looking for opportunities in pretty unusual places. And one strategy that got a lot of buzz was buying up distressed mortgages. So today, we're going to break down exactly what that's all about.
And that really gets to the heart of it, right? Is this a legitimate path to making some serious money, or is it actually a hidden trap just waiting for an unsuspecting investor? Let's dig in. Okay, so before we even get to the whole path to riches thing, we've got to get the basics down. What are we even talking about here? What is a mortgage note, and what makes it distressed? Well, at its simplest, a mortgage note is just the official IOU you sign when you get a home loan. But here's the thing, it's also a financial asset. And lenders, well, they can and do buy and sell these notes all the time, maybe to free up some cash or just balance their books. Now here's where it gets really interesting for an investor. When a homeowner stops making their payments, that IOU becomes what's called non-performing. For the bank holding that note, it's now a problem. It's a risky asset that isn't making them any money, so they're often pretty motivated to just sell it off cheap to get it gone.
So let's just run through that flow one more time. The homeowner stops paying. The mortgage becomes distressed. The bank or lender sells that debt for pennies on the dollar. And then an outside investor, and yeah, that could be you, steps in and becomes the new person they owe money to.
All right, let's talk about the exciting part, the potential path to riches. I mean, the reason anyone gets into this complex market is for the potential profit, right?
And the potential reward here can be absolutely staggering. We're talking about discounts of over 50% on the loan's original value. That's huge. But, and this is a really big but, a discount that deep is always a massive red flag. It's a signal that you're looking at a very, very high-risk situation.
So you've bought the note. Now what? Well, you've basically got two main paths you can take. Path one, you can try to work with the homeowner, renegotiate the loan, get them back on track with payments, and maybe, eventually, you recover the full value of the loan. Or there's path two, the more direct route. You foreclose on the property and sell it to get your money back.
You can see why people are drawn to this, right? The allure is undeniable. If you can snag that note for a really great price and then pull off one of those strategies, the chance for a major profit is very, very real. It really all boils down to the price you pay up front.
Okay, but it can't all be sunshine and profits. Every path to riches has a dark side, and this one has a doozy, a hidden trap that can be really, really costly if you're not careful.
A lot of folks who are new to this game make some really critical mistakes right out of the gate. They might try to cut corners, maybe skip a professional appraisal to save a few bucks, and then they end up paying way more for the debt than the actual house is even worth.
But the biggest danger, the one that blindsides almost everyone, is this crazy concept called phantom income. And it's exactly what it sounds like. The IRS says you have a taxable gain even if you haven't seen a single dollar of cash yet.
Let me walk you through a classic scenario where this phantom income thing pops up. Let's say you want to avoid a long, messy foreclosure. So you make a deal with the homeowner. They agree to just give you the deed to the property, and in return, you cancel their debt. It's called a deed in lieu of foreclosure.
So let's say you bought that non-performing note for a cool $500,000. That's your cash investment. But then you get a professional appraisal done, and it turns out the house itself, the actual property, has a fair market value of $600,000.
And boom, right there. That's the trap. You haven't sold the house. You don't have a dime of cash from it yet. But the IRS, well, they see things very differently. They look at it and say, hey, you paid $500,000 to get an asset that's worth $600,000. That $100,000 difference, they consider that immediate taxable income for you. So what does that mean for your wallet? Well, if you're in, say, a 28% tax bracket, you're suddenly on the hook for an extra $28,000 in taxes for the year. That's the phantom income problem, and it can create a serious cash flow crisis if you weren't expecting a surprise tax bill.
So after all that, what's the final verdict? Is this something you should jump into, or should you run for the hills?
Look, if you're going to succeed here, you have to understand it's not about luck. Not at all. It's all about meticulous preparation. You've got to do your homework, talk to professional appraisers, get a CPA who understands these weird tax rules, and know every single number inside and out.
So let's just be really blunt here. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Not even close. This is a high-stakes, complicated game
that's really only for serious investors who have done their research and have great advice.
And that really brings us to the final question, the one you have to ask yourself. Knowing everything we've talked about, the incredible potential upside of getting an asset for a huge discount, but also these nasty, hidden financial traps like phantom income, is this a risk you are genuinely prepared to take?